Okay, so this video is on how to make a data table. For me to make a data table, I'm actually starting with my Lifeboats notebook on my screen. I'm going to split screen with the application that I need to make the data table. The application I'm using is Sheets, and you'll be using the same application. Open Sheets, hit the plus sign in the bottom right-hand corner, and you want to open a new spreadsheet. I now have a new spreadsheet up on the right-hand side of my screen and my Lifeboats notebook up on the left-hand side. So the first thing every data table needs is a good title. The best way to title a data table is with your experimental question. An experimental question should always be, how does the independent variable affect the dependent variable? So I'm actually going to scroll through my Lifeboats notebook until I get to my variables page. There it is. Now I can write the title for my data table. I'm going to click in the first cell in the top left-hand corner. Then I'm going to move my cursor or click down into the box at the bottom that says enter a text or formula, and I'm going to type the title for my data table. Once I've done that, I want to take a second and double check it to make sure it starts with a capital letter and ends with a question mark, as it is a question. The next thing that I need to add to my data table is my independent variable. Now we know that independent variables almost always go in the left-hand column of a data table. And that's what's going to happen in this data table as well. So I'm going to click on the cell directly underneath my title that's furthest to the left, and I'm going to add my independent variable, which happens to be boat capacity. This independent variable also needs units, so I'm going to add the units, which are milliliters. As you can see, when I click off the cell, the text has gone over the size of the cell. In order to fix that, I click back on the cell and I click up here in my menu bar, right here. This will have the text wrap. Now the text is all confined to one cell. The next thing that I need to add to my data table is the dependent variable. When I click off that cell, you can see that the text has also gone over the size of the cell. I'm not going to wrap that one. I actually have a very specific reason why, and you'll see in just a moment. The next thing that I need to add to my data table are my trials. In order to do that, I have to have a conversation with my partner to decide how many trials we're going to do. My partner and I have decided that we'll be doing 5. I'm going to put my trials directly under my dependent variable. So I'll start here with trial 1. Tab over, I can put in trial 2, and I'll continue. At this point, so that you can continue to see what I'm doing on the right-hand side of the screen, I'm going to close my Lifeboats notebook. And of course, at the end, I want to put an average, because we know that at some point in time, we're going to have to graph this data, and we don't want to graph trials. We only want to graph the average. The next thing that I'll need to add are my boat capacity measurements that I took in class, or I actually found in class. So one of the tendencies that students can have is they want to put their first boat capacity in this cell. That would be a mistake, because then there would be no place to put your data that you measure during your experiment, because you have trials going to the right of that cell. So you want to come down a cell and start adding your capacity measurements. Now you have a cell here that's blank. You can do one of two things with it. You can either gray it out or you can merge it with the cell above it. In order to merge, you just highlight both cells, which I have to admit is a little tricky for me. I've now highlighted both of them, and I'm going to use the menu at the top and select this, which will merge them. The next thing I'm going to do is clean up my data table a little bit. I want to make sure that it's really easy for anyone who looks at it to read. So I want to make sure that number of penny passengers is going over all of my trials and my average. In order to do that, I'm going to highlight all the cells above trial, all the trials and the average, and merge them. Then the next thing I like to do is to center the text. So I clicked on merge and then I centered the text. And now number of penny passengers is above all the information that it represents. Next, I want to do the same thing with my title so that it's above the entire table. So I'm going to highlight all the cells, merge those cells, and center that text. One last thing to do with the data table. The data table actually needs lines or boxes on it. So you're going to highlight the entire table. You'll go to borders and you're going to select all borders. And now your data table is done. Many of you would like to have sheets calculate your averages for you. If you're interested in that, ask me how to do it in class and I'll gladly show you. Hope you found this video helpful. Bye!